Hello, I'm Mukul. In today's data-driven sports industry, managing extensive and diverse data related to leagues, teams, players, matches, referees, and sponsorship is vital for efficient operations and strategic decision making. The Soccer League Management System was developed as project for course VTech database systems course at VIT Chennai under the guidance of Dr. M. Premlata. This system is designed to streamline operations, improve data accessibility, and provide valuable insights. Let us see the problem statement and objectives. Managing a soccer league involves handling multiple entities like teams, players, match, schedules, and sponsorship contracts. The manual process of recording and maintaining this data is inefficient, prone to errors, and lacks the ability to generate meaningful insights quickly. The primary objective of this project is to develop a database system that effectively captures and manages all necessary data points involved in running necessary data points for the soccer league. It aims to automate data collection, storage, and retrieval processes, reducing human error and ensuring data consistencies. Let us see the scenario. Assume we have the following application that models soccer league teams games they play and players in each team. In the design, we want to capture the following. We have a set of leagues. Each league has an ID, name, country, and founding year. We have a set of teams. Each team has an ID, name, home stadium, and to which city this team belongs. Each team is a part of one league. Teams also have a budget that is derived from sponsorship and ticket sales. Each team has many players, and each player belongs to one team. Each player has a number, name, DOB, age, start year, and skills like speed, strength, agility, etc. Teams play matches. In each match, there is a host team and guest team. The match takes place in stadium of the host team. For each match, we need to keep track of the following: date and time, final result, weather conditions such as temperature, humidity, wind speed, and players participated in the match. For each player, we have to track the following: goals scored, whether or not a player took the yellow card, whether or not a player took the red card. Each match has exactly three referees. For each referee, we have an referee ID, name, date of birth, year of experience. One referee is the main referee and other two are assistant referee. Teams can have multiple sponsorships. Each sponsorship has a sponsorship name and contract value. So this is the whole scenario which is given. So now let us see the schema description of this scenario. Before seeing the schema description, let us see the key functionalities that is included here. Storing league information. The system can maintain the record of different soccer leagues, including their names, countries of origin, and founding year. The next one is the managing teams and players, tracking match details, referee management, handling sponsorships. So now move towards the schema description. The first one is the league table. The league table stores basic information about different soccer leagues, such as the league's unique identifier, that is league ID, name, country, and founding year. It serves as a reference for associating teams with their respective leagues, helping users identify the league context for each team. The next one is the team table. The team table has the attributes team ID, name, home stadium, city, budget, league ID. Here, the primary key is the team ID and the foreign key is the league ID, which refers to the league ID of the league table. The next one is the player table. The attributes of player table are player ID, team ID, first name, middle name, last name, date of birth, age, start year, skills. The primary key of the player table is player ID and it also has a foreign key team ID which refers to the team ID of team table. The fourth one is the match table. The match table stores details about each game such as match date, result, and environmental conditions like temperature, humidity, wind speed. Match ID is the primary key here. It uses foreign keys, host team ID and guest team ID to reference the team table, indicating the teams that participated in each match. The next table is the match player. The attributes of match player table are match ID, player ID, number of goals, yellow card, red card. Match ID and player ID are the foreign keys which are taken respectively from the match ID of match table and player ID of the player table. And these two foreign keys consist of a primary key for the match player table, which has the match ID and player ID as the attributes. The referee table has the attributes referee ID, name, date of birth, and year of experience. Referee ID is the primary key here. This table manages the association between match and referee. Match referee is the next. Match ID, referee ID, and role are the attributes of the match referee table. Match ID is the foreign key which refers to the match ID of match table, and the other foreign key is the referee ID, which refers to the referee ID of the referee table. And the primary key here is the match ID and referee ID combined. Our next table is the sponsorship table, which has the attributes sponsor name, team ID, and contract value. Sponsor name is the name of the sponsor, which consists of part of the composite primary key. And the team ID here is the foreign key, which refers to the team ID of the team table. So the primary key of the sponsorship table is the sponsor name and team ID attributes. So after seeing the relations schema, we have the following relationships with the cardinalities. Let us see these one by one. The first one is the league and team, which is the one-to-many relationship because one league has many teams. The next is the team and player relationship. That is also one-to-many, as one team has many players. The next relationship is team match, whose cardinality is one-to-many. This is because one team can host many matches as a host or a guest. The next is the match and player relationship, whose cardinality is many-to-many, because many players can participate in many matches, as well as player can play many matches, which is represented by the match player table. The next relationship is the match referee, which has many-to-many because each match has exactly three referees represented by match referee table, and each referee can represent in many matches. The next is the team sponsorship table, which is one-to-many cardinality because one team can have multiple sponsorships. So the next part is the Python code embedded with SQL. This is the code which we have implemented in the VS Code. So let us see this code in brief in the VS Code. First, we have installed the CX Oracle library and then imported here in the VS Code and created the Python file with the extension .py. And for the file created, we have made the database connections. For making the database connections, we have used these commands. In this command, we have given localhost ID and the service name. And for establishing the connection, I have used my system username for the run SQL terminal, command terminal, whose password is 123. Here, as we are creating the tables again and again in our code, so to prevent the error, which has the same name of creating table, we are dropping the table if they already exist in the database. So for dropping the table, we are using this command try and accept. So now let us create. So here in the code, we are creating the table each one by one. So first, the league table is created by using the command cursor.execute. And in the league table, which are using the attributes league ID, name, country, founding year, and defining their data types. And also we have defined the primary key of the league table here, which is the league ID, and number is its data type. S- Similarly, we are creating the team table. In the team table, we are defining the attributes which are team ID, name, home stadium, city, budget, league ID, their data types, and also the primary key, which is the team ID, and the foreign key, which is the league ID, and to which table and attributes it is referencing. So the foreign key of team table is referencing through to the league ID attribute of the league table. Now we are creating the player table. Player table has attributes player ID, team ID, first name, middle name, last name, DOB, starting year, skills, and their respective data types. Player ID here is the primary key, and also we have the foreign key which references to the team ID of team table. The next table is the match table. So for creating the match table, we have attributes such as match ID, match date, result, host stream ID, guest stream ID, temperature, humidity, wind speed. And here in the match table, we have match ID as the primary key, and host stream ID and guest stream ID are the foreign key, which references to the team ID respectively of the team table. Similarly, we create the match player relationship table. In the match player table, we are using the attributes match ID, player ID, num goals, yellow card, red card. In this table, we have primary key, which is the combined match ID and player ID. And match ID, player ID are the foreign keys, which references to the match ID of match table and player ID of the player table respectively. The next table is the reference table, which are which is having the attributes referee ID, name, and DOB. And here referee ID is the primary key of the referee table. Similarly, the next table we created is the sponsorship table, which has attributes sponsor name, team ID, contract value, and it is having the data types, that is number, varchar, and here the primary key is the sponsor name and team ID. And the foreign key of the sponsorship table is the team ID, which references to the team ID attribute of the team table. And our last table is the match referee table. While creating the match referee table, we have attributes match ID, referee ID, role. And the primary key here is the combined match ID and referee ID. And the foreign keys are match ID and referee ID, which references to the match ID and referee ID from the match and referee tables respectively. After creating the tables, we have to insert the data in each of these tables. So first we are inserting the league data. So while inserting the league data, we are defining the attributes that are the respective columns of the table in which data is inserted. So the data is inserted respectively in the columns league ID, name, country, founding year of the table, which is having the values 1 Premier League, England 1992. This is an sample example for inserting the data in the league table. Similarly, moving towards the next is inserting the team data. So suppose in the Premier League, we are having the three teams participating in the Premier League. So let us insert the data of these teams respective in their respective columns. The next one is the player data. So while inserting the player data, we are having the columns team ID, name, home stadium, city, budget, league ID, values. That is the columns of the team data table. So while inserting the player data table, we are having the attributes player ID, team ID, first name, middle name, last name, DOB, start year, skills, and their values. So while in the players table, like we take an example of 7-1 Cristiano Ronaldo. These are the respective these are the respective values of these attributes. That is player ID, like 7 is the player ID, 1 is the team ID, and Cristiano is the first name. Now we are inserting the data in the match table. In the match table, we are inserting the 5 records, and these 5 records are to the respective columns which are representing match ID, match date, result, host team ID, guest team ID, temperature, humidity, wind speed, and their values. Similarly, we are inserting the match player data. In the match player data, we are having 5 columns which are corresponding to the match ID, player ID, num goals, yellow card, and red card gotten by the players. And we are having the values of these match player data. So let us see the next table, which is the referee. While inserting the data in the referee, we are having 3 records that are of the referee Anthony Taylor, Daniel Orestro, and the Simon Marciniak. And the details of these tables corresponding to the referee ID, name, date of birth, and year of experience, and the values in the corresponding table. The next table, in which we have inserted the data, is the sponsorship data. Adidas, Nike, Puma are the examples which are inserted in the sponsorship data to the columns of the table: sponsor name, team ID, and contract value. The next one is the match referee data. We are inserted the data in these 3 columns: match ID, referee ID, and role. So now we have inserted the data in all the tables. Our next part is to run the queries after connection.commit command. After this command, the connection is done, and so now we can perform the queries. We can perform different type of queries here, which include select command, update command, aggregation functions such as average, count, sum, min, max, and also we can use the jo- we can use the joins involving natural join, cross join, and also we can use the commands involving date functions. So basically, all the date functions, aggregation functions, select functions can be performed here. So we are performed all these functions here. These are the queries which we used here. And after performing all the queries and code, we have to close the cursor and connections, which are done by cursor.close and connection.close commands. So here, as this is the complete code, now let us run this code in the terminal of the Python console. So for executing the code, we are giving the command Python and then Python file name. And my file name is a8.py. So now let us see the output of these commands. As we are seeing, there is no error. No error after executing this command. So it shows that all the tables are created correctly and the data inserted in these tables is also correct. So here we can see the query result. All these data of the table, player, league, match player, referee table is done correctly. Sponsorship table, as there is no error in the terminal. Also, the data which we have inserted is also correct. So based on the data which we have inserted, we will get we will get the result of the queries which we have given. So here we have given 10 queries. Let us see the result of each queries one by one. Here we can see is the select star from player. This is our first query. This query selects all the data from the player table. So as earlier we have seen, we have three player data in the player table that are of Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and the Kylian Mbappe. So here we have the command select star, and the select star selects all the columns from the table of these player. So here we can see here all the data of these players from the player table is shown in the terminal. Let us move towards the second query. Second query is select star from match where host team ID is equal to 1. Okay, we got the result of this second query. So we can see here in the match table where host team ID is equal to 1. Let us move to the match table. So here host team ID is the 1. And the command here we used in the query is select star. So in the second query, we got all the result from the match table whose ID is 1. So this is the output of the query. The next query is select star from match player where number of goals is greater than 1. So in the match player table, the query is displaying the output where number of goals is greater than 1. Now let us see the match player table. So this is the match player table data, and it shows the all the output where the number of goals is greater than 1. Only this table entry. The number of goals is greater than 1, that is 2. So all the columns and attributes of this table is shown here in the query 3 result. The next query, the fourth query, is the select average number of goals from match player. So the average of the match player table, average number of goals from the match player table is 0.9. This is the match player table. And the number of goals scored here is 1, 0, 1, 1, 2, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. And the average of sum of all these score is the 0.9. Now let us see the fifth query, which is select count star from team. This query returns the number of teams. In the team table, so this is the team table, and it returns 3. And the 3 is the total number of teams, which is Manchester United, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich. So this query returns the output 3. Now let us see the sixth query, that is select sum budget from team. As this query returns the total sum of the budget from the teams table. This is the teams table, and the budget is having here this, and this. So the sum command, sum query gives the total values of these 3. Let us move to the next query, which is the select min match date from match. So this query gives the minimum date, that is the least date from the match table. So this is the match table, and the least, and it returns the least data from the match table, that is the this, and the previous output of the sum is the this 275000000. The next command, the next query is the select star from match where match date between this date and this date. So this condition returns the output of the query as this. This is the query 8 result. So if we tally from the table, if we tally from the match table, we will get the same data. So this is the match data and the date which is from the given period, which is in between from the given period is this. The ninth query is of join. As we are having multiple, as the query is in the multiple lines, so we are using in triple inverted commas. So we are using inner join here, which select the match ID, match date, and name as host team from match M. And the match table is represented by M. So we are having M dot match ID, M dot match date as representation. And inner join, it is join on the teams table. And the teams table is represented by T. And the condition here is the M dot host team ID is equal to T dot team ID. So it returns the output is here. So the inner join on match and teams table with the condition match dot host team ID is equal to team dot team ID is here. All the teams which are satisfying the conditions are joined here, and the output is showed on the terminal. And the last query is the select star from sponsorships. So it select all the columns of the sponsorship table. The sponsorship table is here. Adidas, Nike, Puma, and are the sponsors, and the details of these is shown here. That is the output of the query 10. So all the queries are executed using Python in the SQL, and it involves select functions, aggregation functions, and it also involves the joins. So as we see, the cursor and connection closure is done here. So this is the complete code which we performed in the Visual Studio Code. So now let us see the next part. So these are the screenshots of what we have seen here. These are the screenshot of the output of our queries. These are the queries which we have seen, and this is the output in the console of these queries. And here this is the one by one query which we have already seen here. This is a query 1, query 2. All the queries output is here. So this is the complete presentation of the project Soccer League Management Systems. So that's the end of the video.